This lecture focuses on sentence style, the section in the Hacker text that deals with parallelism, modifiers, shifts, and sentence emphasis. We're going to focus this time on the most common mistakes or problems that students encounter. First, parallelism. If ideas are parallel, that is, if they have the same grammatical structure, a noun with a noun, a phrase with a phrase, then that creates a kind of emphasis. When you have items in a series, paired ideas, or repeated words, you want to put those in parallel form. If you notice the examples here, in the first one you have nouns. A kiss can be a comma, a question mark, or an exclamation point. The second is phrases, in this case verb phrases. This novel is not to be tossed lightly aside, but to be hurled with great force. And then the last one, we have a combination. We have a phrase and then a verb. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. In matters of taste, swim with the current. Again, the idea of parallelism is that you emphasize similarity and you also help your reader to focus on the commonalities between things. The second thing that we're going to look at is problems with modifiers. Problems with modifiers, to modify means to change. A modifier can be an adjective or an adverb. It can be a phrase or a clause. We're going to look first of all at misplaced phrases and clauses. If you look at the examples here, you can see that there is a question of clarity. Let's look at the examples down at the bottom that are marked ambiguous and clear. The exchange students we met for coffee occasionally questioned us about our latest slang. It may be that the meaning is unclear. The exchange students we occasionally met for coffee questioned us about our latest slang. The exchange students we met for coffee questioned us occasionally. So, which meaning do you want? That they occasionally questioned or that we occasionally met? Where you place the modifier determines that. If you look at the very top, though, it says sometimes they can be misplaced. The soccer player returned to the clinic where he had undergone emergency surgery in 2009 in a limousine. According to this, the surgery took place in the limousine, but that's not the intention. Traveling in a limousine sent by Adidas, the soccer player, the phrase modifies the word that follows that comma, returned to the clinic where he had undergone emergency surgery. Again, the idea is to make sure that the meaning is clear. You want your reader to understand your intention. Split infinitives. An infinitive is the to-be form of a verb, and the rule says that we don't want to put modifiers in between to and the rest of the verb. So rather than the patient should try to, if possible, avoid, it's if possible, the patient should try. Again, the idea is not splitting that infinitive, the to-be form of the verb. And then the last in this section about construction so much is dangling modifiers. When you have a modifier at the beginning of a sentence, it typically modifies the word that follows the comma. Upon entering the doctor's office, it was not the skeleton that was entering. Deciding to join the Navy, it was not the recruiter who was deciding. To satisfy her mother, it was not the piano making the decision to satisfy or not. So they're called dangling modifiers. That means that we've left them out there and they're not modifying what they should because of the sentence construction. We simply need to revise the sentence. Let's look at S4, shifts. Shifts have to do with changes. You can have shifts in point of view, which mean the shift is in the person, first, second, or third, I, you, or third person, he, she, or it. What you want to do is be consistent. If you're writing a paper in first person, maintain that voice. If you're writing a paper in third person, maintain that point of view. Do not shift without reason. And as always, we don't use second person point of view. Verb tense, the same thing is true. We don't shift verb tenses. We want them to be consistent. A verb tense is an expression of time. You indicate the relationship of time to the ideas through your verb tenses. If you're writing your paper in past tense, you maintain that. If you're writing in present tense, you maintain that. There are certain times when it is necessary to be in one or the other, and there are times when it is necessary to show that there is a change. But unless there is a reason to change tense, you want to maintain the verb tense or be consistent throughout the text. The next section here is sentence emphasis, and I want you to look at this. When I mark sentence emphasis, I typically just mark S6, but notice what the text tells you. Coordination means that two ideas are of equal value, and because coordinating conjunctions join, we typically don't start a sentence with a coordinating conjunction. I understand that we do in real life and that you read them written that way, but in academic writing, generally it is considered to be bad form to start a sentence with a coordinating conjunction. Join those two sentences together. The other thing is the idea of subordination. You can show relationship between ideas and help make your information or your writing flow by showing that relationship, that one idea has less importance than another. You can address the passage of time. You can address whether or not one thing is more important than the other. Notice it says, let your intended meaning determine which idea you emphasize. So make sure that what you're doing is using sentence structure to show relationship. If you tend to rely heavily on coordination, that is, on coordinating conjunctions, then you may want to consider looking at how you can better form your ideas into complex sentences to show relationships a little more clearly. That's my initial discussion of section S, which is sentence style. We'll look at other sections other sections of the text in separate lectures.